The $91,000 God Candle. Look at this chart. It's 2 a.m. on a Saturday. The world is asleep. Bitcoin is flattening. Then it happens. A massive vertical God candle erupts. In 60 minutes, Bitcoin tears through $91,000. At that exact moment, Caracas goes dark. This wasn't a random power failure. It was a targeted cyber kill switch. As the lights vanished in Venezuela, so did $133 million. That was the total value of short positions incinerated in an instant. Traders betting on stability were wiped out by an algorithm that knew the raid was successful before the news broke. Most people think they just saw a military extraction. They think this is about a dictator being brought to justice. They're wrong. This raid didn't just end a regime. It ended the 80-year reign of the neutral dollar. When the special forces hit that compound, they weren't just looking for Maduro. They were looking for a USB drive, the shadow key, the digital access to $60 billion in hidden crypto wealth. This is the story of the first algorithmic decapitation in history, and why the US dollar just became the world's most dangerous weapon. Most people think this shift started yesterday. They're wrong. The rules-based order actually died in February 2022. That was the day the Biden administration froze $300 billion. These weren't private funds. They were Russia's sovereign central bank reserves. It was the Nixon shock of the 21st century. Before that day, the dollar was a neutral utility. After that day, it became a political kill switch. The world saw the single key veto. If Washington doesn't like your foreign policy, they can delete your country's savings with one line of code. Trump didn't start this fire. He just poured 5 gallons of high-octane gasoline on it. By using special forces to physically extract a head of state, he proved that sovereign immunity is now a legacy feature. This is Jungle Rules 2.0. In the jungle, there are no treaties. There is only the hunter and the hunted. When the US weaponized the dollar against Russia, the world started looking for an exit. When they used special forces against Maduro, they started sprinting for it. Every central bank from Riyadh to Beijing just got the memo. If your wealth is in their system, you don't own it. You're just renting it until they decide to evict you. This is why Bitcoin hit $91,000. It's not about number go up. It's about sovereignty go up. Special forces didn't just storm the residence for a man, they were hunting for a ledger. While the world watched the explosions, a high-stakes digital heist was unfolding in the dark. Over the last 4 years, Maduro didn't just survive on oil, he survived on a shadow ledger. He settled billions in crude sales using USDT and Bitcoin through a ghost fleet of tankers. Intelligence reports estimate the regime's shadow reserve at nearly $60 billion. That is more Bitcoin than most Fortune 500 companies own combined. But there's a catch with digital gold. You can't seize it with a court order if you don't have the keys. This wasn't a bank heist, it was a physical seed phrase recovery. Special forces teams were reportedly equipped with forensic hardware to secure cold wallets before they could be wiped. They knew that if Maduro's inner circle hit a kill switch on those wallets, that wealth would vanish into the blockchain forever. The mission was a race against the clock. Find the hardware, secure the seed phrases, and decapitate the financial nerve center of the regime. This is the first time a superpower has treated a private key as a primary objective of a decapitation strike. Because in 2026, capturing the king is only half the battle. You have to capture the hash rate. While the news was reporting on the capture of a man, the market was reporting on the capture of a system. At 3 a.m., Bitcoin wasn't just pumping on hype, it was performing a violent repricing of risk. For 80 years, the world operated under a single assumption: if you follow the rules, your money is safe. But the market just realized those rules are gone. The repricing is the direct result of the jungle rules we discussed. If the US can unplug a nation's leader and repossess their state-held keys in 180 minutes, then every fiat currency on Earth is now a conditional asset. It's only yours as long as you remain on the right side of the geopolitical line. This realized fear triggered the $133 million short squeeze. Traders who thought rules would maintain a stable market were the first to be liquidated. They were betting on a world that no longer exists. Money is now fleeing jurisdictional risk. It's leaving central banks that can be frozen. It's leaving ledgers that can be censored. And it's flowing into the only Noah's Ark left in the digital age. Bitcoin's climb to $91,000 wasn't a win for crypto. It was a vote of no confidence for the US dollar. In the jungle, you don't save in a currency that can be used as a bullet against you. You save in a code that doesn't care who you are. The raid on Caracas wasn't just a localized military event, it was a global signal fire. Every nation that isn't a treaty-bound ally of the United States just saw their future in high definition. When the Biden administration froze Russia's assets in 2022, they proved the dollar could be a cage. When the Trump administration extracted Maduro in 2026, they proved it could be a hunting ground. The message to every central bank from Beijing to Riyadh is now undeniable. If you hold US treasuries, you are holding a kill switch that Washington can flip at any time. This realization is triggering the Great Exit. We are seeing a massive rotation of capital into assets with zero jurisdictional risk. Central banks are no longer just buying gold. Gold is heavy, hard to move, and can still be physically blocked by a Navy blockade. They are looking at Bitcoin as the digital Noah's Ark, because Bitcoin is the only asset class that is 1. Permissionless. You don't need a central bank's okay to move it. 2. Censorship resistant. A special forces raid can take your man, but it can't take your hash rate. 3. Instant liquidity. It settles in minutes, not weeks, and doesn't rely on the SWIFT system. We are entering the sovereign era of crypto. The $91,000 price floor we're seeing today is the sound of the world's elite buying their seats on the Ark. Because in the era of Jungle Rules 2.0, the only way to stay sovereign is to stay off the grid. If you're still waiting to return to normalcy, you aren't paying attention. The raid in Caracas was the final evidence that the old world is gone. For 80 years, we lived in a simulation called the rules-based order. It was a world where you could trust the system even if you didn't trust the people. But as we've seen, that simulation was deleted the moment the dollar was turned into a precision-guided munition. The freeze in 2022 was the warning shot. The Maduro extraction was the kill shot. We have officially entered a period of financial Darwinism. In this new era, your wealth is a target. If it's centralized, it can be frozen. If it's physical, it can be seized by special forces. And if it's digital but permitted, it can be erased. This is why that $91,000 Bitcoin candle matters. It's the market's realization that in the jungle, the only way to survive is to hold assets with absolute settlement finality. These are assets that exist outside the reach of any jurisdictional kill switch. You are witnessing the great decoupling. On one side, the legacy system, a weaponized ledger that requires your total obedience. On the other, a decentralized network that requires only your private keys. The race for financial sovereignty isn't a get-rich-quick scheme anymore. It's a survival strategy for a world without a referee. The starting gun didn't just fire in the mountains of Caracas. It fired the second we realized that in 2026, the only thing standing between your wealth and a special forces raid is a seed phrase that no government on earth has the power to override.